This is Whisper from History, where forgotten voices rise again. In the pages of history lie secrets, so dark that even centuries later, they still shake the human soul. Tonight, we reveal the tale of a painting that screams at midnight, a scream that has taken lives and driven others into madness. Stay till the end, because that is where the true terror begins. The old canvas hung in silence for decades. Its frame, gilded but tarnished, was heavy with dust and shadow. In daylight, it looked ordinary enough, just another relic of Europe's gilded past. But when the clock struck midnight, witnesses swore they heard it, a piercing cry, a scream, faint at first, then rising like a human voice clawing its way out of the painted surface. No gallery dared to show it. Few collectors would even admit they had seen it. And yet, for centuries, the legend of the painting that screams at midnight has persisted, half-whispered folklore, half-documented history. But where did this painting come from? And why has it haunted those who dared to own it? The earliest records lead us back to Venice. In the late 1500s, it was the twilight of the Renaissance, an age of splendor and decay, where the canals reflected both gold and wrought. Venice was thriving with artists, but also drowning in secrecy, clandestine societies, forbidden knowledge, and the constant shadow of the plague. In this world lived Luciano Calvetti, a little-known painter who never achieved fame alongside the masters. His works were dark, unsettling, and rarely commissioned, where others painted saints, bathed in divine light. Calvetti painted faces twisted in anguished eyes that followed viewers, mouths caught between a breath and a scream. In 1596, something changed. Calvetti's wife, Isabella, died suddenly of fever. He disappeared from public life, and for 6 months, no one saw him. Then, he returned with a single canvas, his supposed masterpiece. The painting depicted a woman, pale and gaunt, seated before a blackened window. Her mouth was open wide, stretched as though frozen in a cry. The brushwork was brutal, the colors unnatural, and yet there was a depth in her eyes that made the onlooker feel watched. When Calvetti unveiled it to a small circle of patrons, silence filled the room. Then one of the noblemen present fainted. Another swore he heard the faintest echo of a scream. Rumors spread quickly. People said Calvetti had painted his wife not in life, but in death. Some whispered that he had mixed her ashes into the pigments. Others claimed he had been seen near the plague pits, gathering things no artist should ever touch. But one rumor was darker still, that Calvetti had made a pact. Venice in the 16th century was a city both dazzling and cursed. Beneath the grandeur of St. Mark's Basilica and the Rialto markets, whispers of witchcraft and necromancy crept through the alleys. And it was here, people believed, that Calvetti struck a bargain with forces no church could sanction. His paintings sold, not to a Venetian, but to a traveling nobleman from Austria, and almost immediately, the legend began. Within weeks, servants in the nobleman's household reported strange sounds at night, moaning, then screaming. At first, they thought it was the wind against the shutters. But then the sound grew distinct, a woman's voice, crying in anguish. The nobleman dismissed it as superstition, until his daughter awoke, shrieking one midnight, claiming the woman in the painting had turned her head. But that was only the beginning. By 1601, the painting had found its way to Vienna. The nobleman, desperate to rid himself of it, sold it cheaply to a wealthy merchant. Within a month, the merchant was dead collapsed at his desk, with eyes wide open, as if terrified by something unseen. The painting passed to his son, then to an abbey on the outskirts of the city, where monks attempted to cleanse it. But the monks, too, recorded strange phenomena. In their journal, one line remained. At the stroke of 12, the woman opens her mouth wider, and the chapel fills with a cry that chills the soul. Terrified, They sealed the painting in a wooden crate, buried it in the abbey's catacombs, and prayed it would be forgotten. But paintings, like curses, rarely stay buried. 2 centuries later, in the early 1800s, the abbey was looted during the Napoleonic Wars. Among the treasures taken was a dust-covered crate, in Sidon Calvetti's painting. By then, Europe had changed. The Enlightenment had brought reason and skepticism. Ghost stories were seen as old wives' tales. Collectors laughed at the idea of a cursed painting, and so, the piece was bought by a Prussian officer, who displayed it proudly in his Berlin home. But reason did not protect him. His servants soon reported voices. Guests spoke of headaches, of feeling watched. Some swore the scream grew louder each passing night. And then the officer's wife died. Her cause of death was recorded as madness leading to self-destruction. Yet neighbors whispered that, in her final nights, she claimed the woman in the painting was calling to her. The painting was removed again, hidden, traded, stolen. Each time it surfaced, new stories followed. But the most chilling accounts came not from peasants or servants, but from men of science. In 1891, the painting came into the possession of Dr. Friedrich Bauer, a psychiatrist in Munich. Bauer believed the supernatural was merely psychology misunderstood. He acquired the canvas to study it, confident he could debunk the legend. He placed it in his office. For weeks, he examined it under different lights, tested the pigments, even invited patients to describe their feelings. Most felt uneasy. Some cried. One patient screamed uncontrollably and refused to enter the room again. But Bauer's own notes grew disturbing. His handwriting, once precise, became erratic. He began hearing the scream himself, first faint, then deafening. In his final entry, dated March 3, 1893, Bauer wrote, "It is not the mind playing tricks. It is her. The woman in the painting is alive, and she wants out." 2 days later, Bauer was found dead. His throat had been torn open not by a blade, but as if by his own hands. The painting vanished once again. In 1923, an obscure London auction house listed a Renaissance portrait, unknown artist, depicting a screaming woman. Few paid attention until whispers began circulating that it was the painting. Despite the rumors, it sold. The buyer was an American industrialist, eager to impress with a rare European artifact. He brought it across the Atlantic, into a grand New York mansion, but America was not spared the curse. Servants reported noises at night. Guests left hurriedly after dinner parties. The industrialist's own son claimed the painting's eyes followed him. Then came the night of July 17, 1926. The family awoke to a blood-curdling scream echoing through the halls. They rushed to the gallery only to find the industrialist collapsed on the floor, lifeless. The painting, still hanging, silent, or so it seemed. After this scandal, the family donated the painting to a small private museum in Boston, hoping to distance themselves from it. The museum staff, skeptical of superstition, placed it in storage, but records from the night guards tell another story. In a report from 1931, one guard wrote, "Every night at 12, the cry begins, at first like a whisper, then louder. I tried covering my ears, but the sound is inside the skull. I can't bear it anymore." The guard quit the next day. Another soon followed. The museum quietly locked the painting away, refusing to display it, and yet, scholars, occultists, and thrill-seekers all begged to see it. Today, the whereabouts of the painting that screams at midnight remain uncertain. Some say it still rests in the museum vaults, sealed away, where no public eye can see. Others claim it was sold privately in the 1970s, and that its new owner, a wealthy collector, went mad. But then, there are the photographs. In 1989, A researcher studying cursed artifacts claimed to have obtained a photo of the painting. At first glance, it showed only the screaming woman. But under long exposure, something strange appeared. Faint streaks of red, as though the figure's mouth was bleeding. Experts dismissed it as a photographic error. But those who saw the print firsthand swore the streaks grew darker the longer they looked. And still, the legend persists. Skeptics argue the story of the painting is nothing more than folklore stitched together across centuries. They point out that no consistent record proves its existence, only fragments, a monk's journal, a doctor's note, an auction listing. But believers ask, how could so many independent accounts describe the same thing? The midnight scream, the deaths, the madness, and above all, the woman herself. Who was she? Some claim she was Isabella Calvetti, the painter's wife. Others believe she was never a real woman at all, but a demon conjured onto canvas. One thing is certain, the legend has endured. From the canals of Venice to the vaults of America, her cry has echoed for over 4 centuries. And perhaps tonight, somewhere, as the clock strikes 12, a painting sits in silence until it screams. To this day, no one truly knows where the painting rests. Perhaps hidden deep inside a museum vault, or locked away in someone's private chamber. But remember, when the clock strikes midnight, somewhere, a painting may still be screaming. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Whisper from History. And tell us in the comments, would you dare to look upon that painting yourself?